Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Rob Rebar. I am the Director of Events and Marketing here at Power to Fly. Ready for another wonderful discussion, and this one is entitled How AI is Changing the Game for Women Returning to Work After Career Breaks. We know we have a lot of returners and career breakers in our communities here. Definitely going to want to listen to this one. And returning to the Power to Fly stage, I am super excited to welcome back Tami Forman, who is the executive director of Women Back to Work, a program that enables employers to access pools of highly qualified and skilled professionals who are not typically available through traditional channels. The Women Back to Work program is powered by Akira, a premier IT and tech staffing firm. And prior to WBW, Tami founded Path Forward, a nonprofit organization that worked for employers to create systematic pathways that empower women to return to paid work. And during her 7 years at Path Forward, Tami and her team launched return to work programs with more than 100 companies, including PayPal, Apple, Netflix, Walmart, Pepsi. And she's an expert on gender equity, talent planning, professional development, and women's participation in the paid labor markets. And in fact, she writes a newsletter on those and other topics called How We Do It. So, Tami, welcome back to the stage.
Thank you so much, Rob. It's so exciting to be here. I love this event.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, as I said, this is a topic that I think is near and dear to a lot of our community's hearts and really has been ever since the COVID era.
Yep.
And my first question really for you is for women returning after a career break, what feels different about today's job market compared to even 5 years ago during COVID or before then?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think the AI piece, that change has been really in the last 2 years, right? Like I think there has just been a rapid change in how people are thinking about AI and using it and how it's coming to play. I think about when I left my job in 2023, people are still asking, like, is it okay to have AI write your cover letter? And now people don't even ask, like, that's of course you would use AI to write your cover letter. It's almost silly, right? So that's really changed a lot. I think that the job market in the last couple of years has been tougher than it was pre-COVID. I would say, if I think about particularly for tech, the job market pre-COVID was real hot. COVID obviously cooled things off, but then it picked up again. You remember, right after COVID, there
Oh,
was
yeah.
a real uptick in hiring, and then 2023, 24 was a much cooler market, with a lot of layoffs at some big companies and things like that. So that's made the last couple years tougher, particularly for people with career breaks. But I think I'm starting to see signs that it's coming back. So I think it's going to start to get better soon.
Yeah, when we were running our What Talent Wants survey just a few years ago,
Yeah,
the vast majority of people who took that survey were gainfully employed. The
yeah,
current survey that we're running, it's about 50% unemployed, 50% employed. So we've
yeah.
seen that shift just over the last 3 years, kind of as we've gotten over that COVID bump. And I think as also as the talent pool is realized, well, maybe I don't want to go back to the office in this way. I don't want to do things that they have. Maybe they're looking to do that career break right now before they find their next
Yeah,
role.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And as you mentioned AI, and of course that's a big topic now. I always say it's the two letters that are on everybody's lips for the last year and still this year too. So as AI reshapes the workplace, what skills are becoming more valuable and how might that actually benefit professionals with a non-linear career path?
So I think it's real interesting, right? I think there's a lot of ways in which AI is actually leveling the playing field right
Mhm.
now because it reminds me, I'm old enough to remember the early days of the internet. And it reminds me of when everybody was looking for internet skills, but of course no one had internet skills. So yet, right? So it was a lot of like transferable skills and what are the things that, what are foundational skills that people need to have, and then they can learn these other things. And I think there's a little bit of that happening, a lot of that happening now actually with AI that I mean, if you're talking about building AIs, first of all, there's like literally 1,000 people in the
Right.
world that know how to do that, and they're doing it, and God bless or whatever, right? Like they're doing their thing. But in terms of the vast majority of jobs where they're looking for AI skills, nobody has those skills yet, right? Very few people are already AI enabled, right? So I actually think for returners, the playing field is more level than it's ever been. So what companies, what employers are looking for are foundational skills to build on for whatever that role is, right? So what are the things that you already have in terms of whether that's coding or project management, right? Or what are your foundational skills? And then I think where returners have an advantage is being able to take the time they have on their break to, take some of those AI courses, like take a class online that is relevant to what you're doing, right? So, how is AI being used by people in your field? And it's going to vary. And I think what I always tell returners is take the shortest, cheapest course you can take, right? Like, don't invest in some really long, certificate program or just take a class. Start really easy. Anthropic, one of the AI companies, has a whole like free online. Start there. Take that,
Hmm.
right? Start learning how to use AI to help you with daily tasks and then build from there. And then the other thing I would say about skills is this is a place where also your networking can be really helpful for you. A great way to tap into your network is to ask people, what skill should I be investing in right now, both in terms of time and money? What kinds of classes should I be taking? What are employers looking for in my field? Because it's
Hmm.
going to vary a lot depending on what you do.
I love all that. And it's also making me think too that there is a boon for non-technical people with AI because those
Yes.
storytelling skills, those communication skills, I am a very non-technical person, but I do have good marketing skills, good storytelling skills. And I find I'm able to put that into the prompts where maybe someone who's just coming from a technical background, this is a generalization, but they might not always have those other skills as well. So I think in that way it's balancing out, and hopefully the folks on the more technical side are able to get some of those people skills, those storytelling skills installed in them. That way everyone is kind of reaching AI in different ways.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We are still going to need to have those skills and experience to tell the AI what to do, at least in the short term. I mean,
Exactly.
I feel like I can't predict for you past, whatever, but like right
Yeah.
now, right, we still need the lawyer to tell the AI how to do law, the
Yes.
marketer to tell the AI how to do marketing, right? To some extent, the software engineer to tell the AI how to do software engineering,
Hmm.
right? So like there, what of these jobs will still, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. But where we are right now is there is still very much a need for the human beings who have skills and experience in whatever that is to be able to tell the AI how to do the thing to make it faster, more productive, better, etc.
Yes, totally, totally. And you mentioned that a few years ago, people would have been hesitant to use AI to say, polish their resume, write a cover letter. Not so much anymore, but there's still, I think, people still wary of it. Like, is it all going to make everything sound the same? Like, is a recruiter just going to know, hey, this person I just generated with AI? So how can returners practically use AI to strengthen their resumes, their LinkedIn profiles, interview prep without falling into that thing of like it all just feels like AI slop in that way?
Yeah, so that's definitely something to think about. I think so first of all, I think using AI to help you in your job search, in all the ways that you just described, is one of the best ways to start to get more comfortable with AI, just in general, right? Because it is one of the ways that it can be super helpful. I think some of it depends. I think if you are if you struggle to write well, like you struggle to explain yourself, right? You're more technical than we are, Rob, right? We're the storytellers, so we do that well. I need more help on some of the tech stuff. But if you're like a tech person who's like, oh my God, describing these things, AI can be really helpful and help you, polish that language and do that. But where I find for a lot of returners, AI is more helpful is not so much in like writing the things for you as in helping you decide what to include and what not to include to tailor it for a specific
Hmm.
message. So a piece of advice I just recently gave to our returner community was like, I always tell people, I've been telling people this for years, like you should have a copy of your resume that, depending on how long you've been working, might be 15 pages long, 20 pages long, like literally every single thing you've ever done from the time you started working, right? Every bullet point, every accomplishment, like all the way up to today. And one great way you can use AI is to say, hey, I'm going to feed you this like
Hmm.
20 page, right? And I'm going to feed you a job description. I don't want you to change any of the bullets. Don't change a single word. But what I want you to do is tell me which bullets to include and which to not. Like,
Hmm.
like, you know, get this down to 2 pages, right? Or even three, and then I'll cut the rest, right? Like whatever. But right, like help me tailor to this job description. Um, so that kind of stuff is where you can, it's still your words and still your descriptions. Now you can use AI also to help you customize the words like, hey, take this bullet but rewrite it in the words of the job description,
Yeah.
right? So not just like write it to be better, whatever AI thinks that means, because I'm still a little skeptical about that piece, but like, change the words in this version of my resume to match the words of the job description. Because the same thing, different companies have different jargon, right? So it's about kind of taking what is already true to you, right? So your authentic voice, but then customizing it and cutting it, right? Like, can I help me tailor this to what that specific job is looking for? And I think that's a
Hmm.
way that AI can be super helpful to you without, you know, messing with the je ne sais quoi that is
Yes.
your voice and your authenticity.
Yeah, and I think sometimes those application systems are looking for sometimes those specific words. So having
Absolutely.
that there is huge. And I also love the idea of it as an interview prep because not all of us have a mentor, a spouse, a friend like that we can run that by. So having that as also in many ways a very neutral party to give you feedback is great.
Absolutely. And I think the great way to use AI for interview prep is feed it the job description, feed it your resume. What are 10 questions I should anticipate? Right?
Hmm. Yeah.
What are
And what are 10 questions you should ask maybe too?
what oh, always, right? What
Yeah.
are questions I should ask? And you can describe the interview, right? I'm about to have an interview with the recruiter, right? They're going to ask
Mhm.
different questions, or with the hiring manager, or I'm doing a tech screen, or I'm doing a pan, right? Like you can kind of give it the different scenarios. What are some questions I should anticipate? And then absolutely, you can also feed the answers in. And is this a good answer? Is this a good example? But yes, it can be super helpful for that.
But don't use it during your technical interview because
No.
we've had a lot of people talk about that, and a lot of companies are taking extraordinary measures to crack down on it as well.
Yes,
So,
yes,
up until the
absolutely.
actual interview, once the interview stops, the AI goes away. So,
Yes, yes,
and
agreed.
what's you hinted at some of this already in some previous answers, but is there a surprising way that you're finding AI is really leveling the playing field for candidates with non-linear careers or anything else that's kind of surprised you in this moment?
So I think the big thing is that what we're starting to hear people talk about, and again, this may be a short-term thing, but whatever, we're living for the now, baby.
Hmm.
Um, what you're seeing a lot of people talk about is managing AI, right? So not necessarily that the AI is now doing that job, but the AI can do a job that needs to be managed by a human, right? So that goes back to what I was saying about like, well, the lawyers still have to lawyer, but they can like manage instead of managing a paralegal, they might be managing an AI agent. And so I think that that's great for returners because you already have a lot of those foundational skills, and it's much easier for you to get up to speed on being able to, manage someone else doing something as opposed to doing it. So I think that's going to be great. I think the skills to hone in that world are getting really good at being able to explain what it is that you need, right? What do you
Hmm.
need this agent to do for you, But those management skills are going to become really critical. Um, and not just, what we think of as the soft skills of management, but like the ability to break down tasks, the ability to explain what your objective is, and what some of the parameters are. What do you want the AI to do? What do you want not want the AI to do? Right? Like I think that the resume example I gave, I think what's interesting about that and starting to play with some of these systems is like tell it what you do and do not want it to do, right? What is it that you want to get from this system versus, and I think the same thing is true for any work you might do as an employee of a company, right? You're a manager. What do you want the AI to do? What do you want, to come back to the team or to you? So I think those kinds of things are going to be really important of understanding how to work with AI as not just what skills does one need that are AI enabled, but how to actually interact with and work with the AI agents is going to be really important. And again, nobody knows how to do that right now. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
there's some, but no, that's not a widely held skill right now, right? We're like, we are at the dawn of this in terms of people's ability to be able to do that. So you're not behind yet.
No. Well, that kind of leads me to another thing I wanted to ask, which is that, there is this fear right now that AI will be eliminating jobs. And as we've already talked about, there's going to be this role for humans in overseeing it. But I could also imagine if you're a returner and you're looking at the job market, you're like, well, am I going to apply for this job when maybe in a year from now it's going to be also eliminated as well? So, like, what are you thinking again? We don't have a crystal ball, but what is your thinking for experienced professionals re-entering the workplace when they're considering, oh, how is AI going to potentially be eliminating the very role I'm now applying for?
I think that I don't think there's any way to game that system right now. I think trying to predict what will and won't exist. I think for returners, what I always recommend, and I think it's actually even more true now, is like, what is your fastest path back to paid employment? Because once you're back in the paid workforce, you have much more mobility than you do outside of the paid workforce, just as a general rule across the board, right? You are going to be, you're going to have a title attached to you. You're going to have a company attached to you. You're going to be working with people who can attest to your, work ethic and your skills and your experience. Your network's going to expand. Like there are just so many good things that come from working versus not that I would not recommend people overthink, is this the right job? Now they should figure out like, is this a company I want to be part of? Is this a job I think I would be good at? But trying to future cast and like, is this going to be a good job in 5 years? Oh,
Hmm.
right. Who knows? Right. So I think the things to be looking for are, does this company, is this a good company in general? Is this a company that seems stable? And then am I going to be learning?
Yes.
How are they using AI? How are they bringing that in? And again, it's going to be very role specific. Um, but I think I think the bigger risk is getting into a role where you're not learning those skills. So I think you want to be looking for that, and looking to see what you can develop. But I think that, you can easily make the wrong choice in either, right? Like the thing
Hmm.
that looks safe today could look unsafe tomorrow and vice versa,
Yeah.
right? So I don't think we're in a place right now where it's possible to predict exactly which jobs are going to be eliminated yet. I think it's too early to tell. So I think do what you are good at,
Yeah.
get better at it, right? Get really, really good at it. And then see where, be ready to move as the market moves. But
Yeah,
it will be easier once you are working to make those kinds of moves than it is now.
totally, yeah. And when we surveyed our community last year, upskilling professional development, that actually rated above even salary. So it's
100%.
making me think when you're asking questions in the interview and you say, well, what kind of upskilling opportunities are there? And if they don't have an answer, well, maybe then they're not going to know how to move you in once technology into another role once technology advances. But if they tell you, oh, yes, we offer this, and we can offer credits and all this kind of stuff, well, then there is room to grow if perhaps your role is going to ultimately be eliminated? So I think
Yeah,
that's a great question to ask. And
absolutely.
and how can returners really demonstrate that adaptability and that tech fluency, even if they aren't having worked directly with AI-driven roles? Because I'm sure even us who are dealing with it, it changes day to day. And especially if you're out of the workplace for, say, the traditional paid workplace for 5 years, then you must really feel like, oh my gosh, how can I possibly convince someone that I have this kind of fluency?
Yeah, so I think, and again, I think more and more employers are going to be looking for those sort of, the traits that someone has versus the specific, like, can they do this? Can they do that? And what I mean by that is exactly the things you just mentioned, Rob. Adaptability, curiosity, ability to learn, desire to learn, right? And the way you demonstrate those things, it's classic behavioral interview techniques, right? Think about stories that you can tell from your career, from your life, right? Maybe you've done volunteer projects, things like that, but from your career where you demonstrate, tell me about a time. This is where AI can be helpful, right? What are some great, interview questions that I can use to demonstrate, adaptability, curiosity, whatever, right? Tell me about a time that you had to learn something new and in order to do your job. How did you do that, right? And think about what those examples are that you would use and break it down in a way that you can then tell the interviewer, well, for example, I once had to learn this, or I once discovered that this process was broken, and I started asking a bunch of questions of all of my colleagues to find out how long this process had been broken. And then so right, like saying I'm curious is not interesting. Saying I love to learn is not interesting. But telling a story about a time that, like, yeah, my curiosity made me ask a bunch of questions, which then led me to see that this was a right that I then solved. Right. So it's demonstrating, right? Show, don't tell, right? Demonstrate an example of a time that you adapted to something new. To share a story with me that shows me that you have these traits and that your ability to change as things change.
I love that. And are there mistakes or that job seekers should avoid when using AI tools in their job search? Are there any big no-nos that you'd throw out there?
So I would say two things, right? So mistake number one is not using it. I think
Hmm.
that's right. Mistake number one. And mistake number two is really not checking your work, right? Not
Yes.
really like reading through, making sure, and not trying to, it should enhance what you're doing. It shouldn't replace, right? Like you best. You know what you've done. You know what accomplishments you've got, right? AI can't replace that knowledge that you have, right? But it can help to frame it better and and those kinds of things. So use it for those things, but check and double check and make sure that you're not just taking the first draft that
Yes.
comes out of the bot and like send. Right, that you're I would say too, I think the other mistake is like use AI to make you more efficient so that you can be more effective in applying for roles, not so that you can apply to more roles. I think
Mhm.
like trying to just like increase your volume, I think is the wrong way to think about AI. I think the way to think about AI is, can I make the 5 applications I'm going to do this week like really crisp and really amazing, as opposed to can I send 50 applications this
Yes.
week,
Yeah.
right? So I think I think the volume game is becoming less and less interesting as recruiters are more and more inundated.
Oh yeah, we have had recruiters that say, there's these bots that you can send out 100 applications in a day. Let me tell you, it will not ingratiate yourself with a
And you're
recruiter.
wasting your
Can
time. You're actually
Yeah.
wasting your time. You're
Yes.
better off doing one. That's great, right? That
Hmm.
the AI has helped you really hone in on like these are the bullets that are the closest match, right? That's the way to think about it.
Totally. And last question for you, Tammy. If you could just give one piece of advice to a woman or anyone really restarting their career in 2026, what would that advice be?
Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. It's tough and you're going to have tough days. Take breaks. That's okay. Take little mini breaks. Take a couple weeks off, take the summer off if you need to, right? Like take breaks, but keep going, get back at it, keep networking, keep reaching out to people. I think personal human connections is becoming more and more valuable in a world dominated by AI, more and more valuable, right? Keep reaching out to your network, tell people what's going on, tell people what you're working on, tell people what you're looking for, be very public, but just keep going. Do not give up. I have seen people come back to work from 10-year breaks, 15-year breaks, 20-year breaks. It's not easy, but they do it. You're going to do it. You're going to get there. You are going to get there.
Yeah, that's why I always tell everyone, for our virtual job fairs, even if you can't come the whole time, come. And it's virtual, it's
Come.
not in the same person, but in person, but your name is going to be on a list then that you
Yep.
attended this, and that will be in that recruiter's file, and they're going to know, okay, Rob came to this event, he took time out of his day. They don't know if you came for 5 minutes or you came for 2 hours. They know that you showed up, and that's a huge, big check mark in your column when you're looking to apply for that role.
That's a great piece of advice, Rob, because I think that again, recruiters right now are looking for signal in the noise, right? They're
Hmm.
looking for signal in the noise. And referrals can be a great signal in the noise, right? Showing up at job fairs, great signal in the right, like you are a real person. You are really in front of them. You are virtually or otherwise, right? You are someone that they should talk to. And I think that's yeah. But just
Totally.
keep going. The finish line is there. You can't see it yet, and that's hard, and I get that. But it's there. I promise. Keep going.
I love that. That is a great place to end on. But I do want to ask you, Tammy, where can people follow you, learn more about Women Back to Work, learn more about your newsletter, how we do it? Let the people know.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. You can follow me there. I'm pretty easy to find. But Women Back to Work is womenbacktowork.org. So you can just come to our site. You can sign up for our newsletter. If you submit a resume, we'll consider you for roles that we have available through our employers. So womenbacktowork.org. And we would love to get to meet you and know you and learn more about you. So sign up and we'll be in touch.
Amazing. Well, if you're watching this live, we will have a post-event blog post after the summit with some of these resources there. If you're watching this recording, it's already created, so just go on Power to Fly and search for that, and you can find that there. Tammy, thanks again for your time today.
Thanks so much, Rob. This was great. Super
Thank
fun.
you.